right, and welcome back to Fright Film Freaks. What's up, everybody? I'm here with my co-host Steven and our special guest Ruby. What's going on, guys?
What's going on? How y'all
Yeah,
doing today?
Good.
pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, we are on episode number 9. Just came to me, number 9. We had
Yes.
just done our last episode was number 8. That was Tales from the Hood.
Mm,
We are on to episode 9. It feels like we're talking 9 months we've been doing this. Is that true?
yes. Oh no, absolutely. I don't know. No, because remember we used to do a couple episodes a
Oh, we did. Yeah,
month.
we used to do a few. We used to do a few. Still though, we've
Yes.
been at it quite a while now, huh?
Absolutely.
Crazy, crazy to think. Doesn't feel like it. But anyway, yeah, we're back with another episode for you guys, another movie review. Fright Film Freaks is brought to you by Crooked Crypt. Um, and absolutely nobody other than that because we don't have any sponsors. And so the only way to support the channel is go follow Crooked Crypt on YouTube and Instagram as well. Today we are talking 2009 House of the Devil. This is a Ty West film, one of his first, right? Not his first, but one of them. Is
Yes.
that true?
Yeah, because Cabin Fever 2
Right.
got into production hell, and I believe they came out, I want to say they came out the same year, but Cabin Fever 2 was probably he made that, then something happened and they kind of took it from him,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
they gave us the Cabin Fever 2 that we know today, which is a gem if no one's ever seen it. Holy smokes.
Gem in what way, though?
Oh my gosh,
Bad
it
way,
is
good way, goofy way?
like a very cringe way. I
Yeah.
mean, if you haven't
oh,
seen that movie, watch Cabin Fever 2 because it just make it chill because it's cringy.
Oh man, that's tough.
okay.
But man, yeah, that House of the Devil. Wow. I remember first seeing this and what a great movie. And we got Ruby here and she picked this movie for Fright Film Freaks for we had 2000s horror and she got us with a 2009 right at the end of it. So, but what a
Yeah,
great pick and thank you very much for joining us in this episode.
of course. Yeah, no, and thank you for having me. I definitely did not expect to pick this, but it was just on Peacock, and I was like, why not? It looks really interesting. We'll see where it goes. So,
Now, had you ever seen it before, or was this your first time?
nope, this is my first
Ooh,
time. Yeah,
wow. So
yeah.
I don't know if we've had that yet. Have we had a movie where someone who picked it hadn't seen it before? Because usually it's recommendations from stuff we've already
Mm,
seen. So that's kind of cool.
No, absolutely. And no, and we were talking before this, she was like, I haven't seen this. And I was like, oh, you're in for a gem because I mean, it really looks like it was made in 1983.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I love like the whole 80s. They've really played into that really well. It reminded me a lot of like The Witch, if you guys have seen that, like how it's set back in back in time and they do the whole like scenery and like the actors and everything. All aspects of this film really put you into the 80s, which I love. So
Yeah, with that.
John didn't really like The Witch that much. He doesn't care for that
really?
director.
No, no.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
No,
li he's lying. It's
he's
like
obsessed with that
yeah,
movie.
he's like
He's
one of my
obsessed.
I love Robert Eggers. He's like one of my favorite directors. So The
Yeah.
Witch, the new Nosferatu, all of his
Uh-huh.
movies I'm a big fan of. I wasn't huge on The Lighthouse. That was a little weird for me, but every
Hmm.
other movie he's done, I've loved. I actually got Nosferatu right here. 6'2" version of it.
Oh.
It's kind of hard to
Now,
see, but actually hold on.
I agree with what you said that yeah, like it's just like The Witch, but I think that him making it into the 80s
Hmm.
is a lot harder than making it seem like it was back when like The Witch took place because
Hmm.
we're in the audience where people remember the 80s and it's easier to
Mm.
point things out. I mean, am I right on that? Because you
Yeah.
could kind of fluff some things on The Witch and like no one's gonna know because nobody was alive
In
when
the
you know
1600s,
yes,
yeah.
exactly, right? So, but great comparison.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think what's interesting is obviously this was done on purpose. The grain of the film, the
Oh,
aesthetic,
yes.
it's aesthetically pleasing, right? Like if you're an 80s horror fan or just 80s movie fan in general, the colors are kind of dull, looks like it's shot on film. I don't know if it was
Hmm.
shot on film. It might have
It
been.
was. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think it was
looked
but
it
like
up.
16 millimeter or
yeah,
something, right?
just probably just to give it that grain and do it
Yeah.
naturally.
Yes.
So there's not a lot of color grading involved in post edit in the
Hmm.
post edit room, or I'm sure that they kept it kind of dull. Because you look at the 80s movies and like when they did color grade stuff in horror movies, you could tell because like or when they didn't because the blood's like this super bright red, so you can't like dull it, you can't dumb it down at all. And like you see blood in movies now and it's very like it's like creepy red, it's like that dark red which it would
Hmm.
be normally, and then the 80s movies you get like that really fake looking bright red blood, which you kind of get in this as well. But the colors are dull in a good way. I was talking about this with my friend literally last night. I was like, he was set, or actually this morning, he was sending me old photos of us in high school, and I graduated 2007, so a couple years before this movie came out. But like, he was sending me photos, and like, they're unedited. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like from a crank camera, like take the photo, go get them developed. And there's something about that, like something raw about that.
Hmm.
And it's the same with this movie. It's like it's something better. It's like nowadays everything looks almost too pristine. Like
Mm.
everything's perfect. So for him to go back and actually not only aesthetics and like make it look 80s and add the film grain, but also the way he shot the movie. Like shaky cam, you know what I mean? There are some scenes where it's like very steady, but like
Mm.
most of the time, like you could see the shake in the camera, even if it's just tilting a little bit or whatever, someone walking, you can see that. And that's what 80s movies were. A guy with a camera like this and he's following you around. And he even shot it that way. And like when you're in this big Victorian style house, he makes it feel so small. And like you feel like you're in there. There's that scene where she's like in that weird room and like it's really up close to her. And like sometimes the camera's not even just positioned on her face. It's like from her nose like down. It's like a really weird view and it makes you feel almost like claustrophobic with her, you know? So he
Mm.
he takes this huge Victorian style house and brings it down to feel like you're right there, like standing behind her almost, which a lot of 80s films did. It was following characters around. It was shooting different different parts of their body. We saw that with like Friday the 13th movies, like where when a camp counselor was walking and they were behind, it would be like her waist down, you know what I mean, following her.
Mm.
And that was a very common shot. And you see a lot of that in this movie as well, which is cool. So he not only did it aesthetically, but he did it technically as well, which is impressive.
No, very much. I the first thing I want to say about this movie is the music was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just rewatched it today, and then and the intro comes on. It's got the '80s vibe, and then my daughter
Yeah.
comes in. She's coming and dancing, so I get up and I start dancing too. And throughout it's just, I mean, everything about the music, like the '80s like pop genre, and then the
Hmm.
like the eerie music. I mean, wow. But
Yes.
this is a movie not to watch on your phone. This is a movie that you need to watch on a TV with the
Yeah.
surround sound, so because
Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
it pops.
But also even like the dialogue is kind of grainy, it's like it's not like
Yes.
perfect, you know what I mean? It's you kind of get that, not that you can hear like the tape hiss or anything, but it's like, it's like a little bit lower. A
Hmm.
lot of those 80s movies were they didn't have like the perfect audio recording, you
Like a
couldn't.
little bit muffled.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. Hmm.
Exactly. So everything from the technical way it was shot to the audio to the aesthetics, everything was like done in that manner. So
Hmm.
if you were to just take if you were to just say this was on VHS and you just gave it to someone and they didn't know, I mean, you'd be like, yeah, this might have been shot like 85, 86. You know what I mean? Which is, I think, what he was going for. And it's kind of his style anyway, right? Like the rest of the Ty West movies, not that he's shot all of them that style aesthetically, but he loves the 80s and 70s, obviously, because that's like what all of his movies are like based
Yeah.
upon. So just really cool. Something I noticed, Greta Gerwig
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
randomly,
I
right?
didn't know. I didn't know she was in it until
wild.
I saw her. I was like, wow,
You
Yeah.
saw
movie.
her and you saw her until you didn't see her anymore.
Yeah, that part, yes.
Absolutely.
Which is
Absolutely.
crazy.
Yeah.
It is actually really cool to see her because you watch it then and you don't know that
She's
years
gonna be
later
who she is.
she's about to make $1 billion franchise, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And then she's in such a cool scene. Such a cool
Oh,
scene. I
definitely.
mean, how can we say spoilers? I mean, spoilers.
Definitely.
Ruby, can you tell us what happens to poor old Megan?
Yeah.
When that scene happened and when he pulled up and just what blamed her, I was jaws agape because I definitely was not expecting that.
Yeah.
It was just out of nowhere, and that's when everything went down from then on. It was crazy
Yeah,
for sure.
pretty slow build up until then,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is on definitely on
Yes.
purpose. It's like we're gonna go balls to the wall horror from, with like 38 minutes left or whatever it was. Even when that happens, it like still takes a little bit to get going,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah, but it
Yeah.
definitely already started that whatever suspense you felt before, it just started going crazier from there.
yeah.
But I love a slow burn. Like
Mm.
just that whole build up to that point was great.
Oh, we're
So
gonna get along just fine. We're gonna get along just fine. I'm a slow
Yeah.
burn guy as well.
yeah.
He's always talking about him. I like straight to the point. No, I'm just kidding. I like him as well too. And it's cool because you see that character who does, he takes out poor O Megan.
hmm
He's on From Your Next. Remember,
Yes, yeah.
and so now it's like, I like that's what I remember him from. I'm like,
Which
oh
was
man,
around the same time, if
yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
this I think this came out before that movie.
It might have, yeah, but I think like
Yes.
your next might have been like 2009 as well, like later that year or 2010 maybe. Like I don't think it was that old of a movie.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's
2011, 2011. So
2011.
two,
Yeah,
two
you're
years
close.
later, I mean, shit.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's wild.
that scene was super cool. I mean, that looked realistic as crazy. Like, like and then like, he takes the cigarette out of her hand and he's like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
he flicks it to he can't get ashes on himself. He goes, I'm about to go bring back the devil. I'm wearing my favorite shirt. Let me just
Right.
get a drag of this. And talk about the longest cigarette, right? Like he still has it when he drops off the pizzas.
I
I was
know.
like,
What?
good. I was like, what cigarette did he get?
Well, you're right though. You can't get it on you, man. You know what I'm saying? You're about to go do some satanic gangster shit.
hmm
You gotta
Yeah.
be clean.
Clean as
Oh,
possible.
yeah. I'm surprised he didn't grab a slice of that pizza. But
Right.
I assume was the pizza like did the pizza have something in it that
Yeah,
make her phase out?
I think
Yes.
so. I
All
think
Yeah,
right,
I
because
so.
that was all
I didn't
planned for
remember.
sure.
Okay, I didn't remember her drinking anything, right? Well,
No, I mean
yeah.
the water in the sink, but I just felt like, I mean, the dad of the house, he was pushing for her to call that pizza guy no matter what. Because
Yeah, it was definitely
yeah.
a setup, and it was, I saw some people arguing on Reddit today about it because I was kind of like trying to see if there were any underlying themes or anything wrong with the film that we could bring up to kind of, because when the movie ended, I was like, oh wow, like the last like, because I've heard mixed reviews about, I saw this a while back and I kind of forgot about it. Um, and there's been a lot of people online saying like that, the story isn't there or it's really boring, which are just most people are going to say that if they don't like slow burns, you know what I mean?
Mm,
So I get that, but this was obviously, it's a pretty simple story, right? Like, so I saw some people talking on Reddit and they were kind of calling out like, the things that weren't like too easy almost, right? Like she doesn't check any of the rooms, so you kind of
oh,
like assume the rooms are locked, you know what I mean?
mm,
Or her ordering the pizza, like, what do people were like, well, what do you do if she doesn't order the pizza? Or if she just would have walked into one of those rooms, she would have called the cops would have been there in 30 minutes, everything would have been done. And I was kind of like, well, like, I think when you're doing something like this, if you look at it from this Allman family, like, if you look at it from their perspective, like, they want the path of least resistance, right? So they're trying to set her up to make it happen. Now, the pizza guy, like he has the gun. Like, so I don't think you could say that they could have just used brute force. Like this guy had
hmm
a gun for a reason. He didn't necessarily need one, but like if everything goes wrong, then they're just going to use force and it'll be fine. So everything I saw about the movie was just very like kind of nitpicky and like
mm,
the story being kind of too simple. But it
Yeah.
was like, but dude, like it's supposed to be like an 80s movie. Like I really think Ty West was like when he pitched it, I bet he was like, give me any story and I can make this work because it's about the way it looks and the way it feels. That's what it's about.
Mm.
The story doesn't have to be over the top crazy, you know, it could be really anything I want it to be, which is kind of more of a testament to how the movie looks, how it was shot, all that kind of stuff.
Did
Yeah.
people free, not free? I mean, it's 1983. Everybody is ordering pizza.
Mm.
Everybody. I mean, the turtles were ordering pizza. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I mean, I mean, come on now. We can't be nitpicky like that. And
Yeah.
I'd be like, man, that pizza has to be quite cold, unless if there was a pizza place. But I'm pretty sure that kind of drove out of town.
Oh
That
yeah.
house was out of the area. So I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, you
Like
know?
she was out some ways because I think the whole thing was is that like by the time her best friend was supposed to be out, she felt like it was going to be too far to come back or whatnot, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you get like the cemetery out there, the graveyard,
Oh
like
yes.
that's usually like a way in a movie to be like, okay, they're kind of out in the
Mm-hmm.
boonies a little bit, you know. So, I mean, that's I live in Maine, so that's everywhere around here, but you know, if you're in a city or something and you're driving out of town, that's kind of a dead giveaway that if there's a cemetery, you're probably on the back roads.
Mm.
But
I
yeah.
thought the witch at the end was really cool. Not to jump to the end, but she was creepy.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, 1,000%.
Yeah,
Was not expecting that.
Mother, I think they called her, right?
Yeah,
Is that what they
mother.
call her? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
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 Mother.
absolutely.
Yeah, she was kind of like the way to unlike. It reminded me of like not as brutal, obviously, but kind of like the Lords of Salem style movie where it's like, you know, just the Antichrist or whatever. It's just it is a very simple story, but it's like it's to the point and like
Hmm.
looks cool,
Yeah,
plays cool.
what an all-star cast, like, Mr. Omen, the Frankenstein from Monster Squad, if we don't remember that, right?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Noonan,
okay.
right? Tom
Yeah,
Noonan.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. My favorite was him in Last Action Hero, but was small cast, but an excellent cast. I mean,
Mhm.
Ty West did a great job picking these characters out or casting these.
Yeah, did you see he even did the credits like old school 80s style? Like
Yeah.
it
Oh,
says
he
their name
paid.
and then
Yes.
like the dot 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 and then it
Hmm.
has
Yes,
the super
he
cool.
he paid attention to like almost every detail. Even
Yeah.
those 1980s 3-hour lasting cigarettes. They,
Which is funny because they didn't have what they called it's because they rolled them tighter because they didn't have what they call the cancer paper in them now. So cigarettes now have like a fire safety paper in them that like if you were to like fall asleep with one or set one down and not put it out, it would go out on its own. They
Oh.
didn't used to have that, so they rolled them tighter with more tobacco, and so it would burn actually slower. But it wouldn't like go out, it would just keep stoked like a cigar. You know what I mean? So like it's kind of funny that, you know,
you're always
those
teaching us something, John. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that I
I
didn't know
those
appreciate
that.
that.
guys.
I
Yeah,
didn't know
just
that either. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, pretty interesting. And then yeah, the whole movie's just cool, man. And like, you know, what I really liked about it is there wasn't like too much dialogue where there didn't need to be dialogue. There's a lot of parts of the like even the whole chase scene at the end where she kind of gets away, like no one's like yelling a bunch of shit all the time, you know?
Hmm.
Like I feel like in a movie nowadays, someone would be like, "You stupid bitch, get back here!" Da, 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 all this stuff, and like you don't get all that. It's just like to the point, like which it would
Yes.
be if you were being stalked through a house. You would just be no one would be like yelling the whole time. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
just so it's kind of cool. He kept the dialogue to a minimum at that point, and which I just think allows you to I think it's all on purpose. He was just like, just look at the film. I just want you to look at it. I think that's what his big thing was. He was like, visually, I just want you to know that you are in the 80s right now, which is a very cool way to do it because sometimes you can over dialogue stuff and it's like a little too much. And again, back to the simplicity of the script. It's just like in the story, it's like it's not overcomplicated. So another thing that he did really well on. You don't need all these like screams and you just need it where you need it. That's it, you know?
Yeah, no, it definitely not, there was no fluff in that movie, I feel. And I felt like it built up everything very, very well. Like setting wise, like her motive to doing what she did. Like it helped a lot. And even like you were saying, like just her running throughout the house, not screaming, just trying to get through it and get out of there. While she's hallucinating everything. The way that chase scene went was very, very tense, and I really love that.
The only thing I didn't, I think the only gripe I have with that when she gets away is like she's like laying on her back almost, and she like slices the dude's throat. And I'm like,
Oh,
how'd she get up so far? How'd she
Go,
get
go,
up
yeah,
there?
gadget arm.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean?
because
Yes.
we didn't even know his throat was sliced until we were like, wait, what happened to him? Where did he
Yeah.
go?
Yeah, because they didn't show it, right? They cut away. And then all of a
Yeah,
sudden he's like, oh, and I was like, oh wait, did she slice his throat?
yeah,
And I was like, she was like so far away. How'd she do that?
yeah.
That poor man always dies in every movie.
And he got his eye cut out too, or
Ooh,
whatever.
God.
That was pretty
Oh
gruesome.
yes,
Hey, would
yeah.
anyone else be like, all right, I quit. This ain't worth it.
Yeah, fuck
I'm
this.
mom, dad, I'm going home.
Also, you would just immediately be done. Like you would not be still chasing.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Think about like
absolutely.
just think about right now, close one eye and just like look around how much you actually can't see. You know what I mean? It's like you're disoriented. You're like, what is going on? It's horrible. He's like goes up the stairs perfectly fine. I'm like, no way, dude. He would have run into the post or something.
I would have quit
Satan
if I
waits
got a
for no
splinter.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, true,
yo,
true, true. If you're working with that, I get it.
touche, touche, right?
That's true. Adrenaline.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, we're guests go first. What you think of like your pros, cons? I know we talked about a lot, a lot about the pros. Was there anything you didn't like about it? And then our famous five pumpkin rating.
Yep.
Oh man, I really really enjoyed it. It definitely isn't something I would go to as far as like the types of movies I like watching horror wise, but I mean stylistically I love a good setting of a movie. Plot wise, I felt like if it was good with with where and how it ended. Um, I say overall probably 3.8. 3.8.
Yes.
Oh, you give it
Yes.
you give it John rating. Oh Lord.
It's a
Well,
great movie. I don't
three
know if
point
I
eight nine nine nine.
Someone finally adds the decimal, man. That's what I'm talking about. We need those more.
I mean it's great. It's a great movie. It's a great slow burn. But knowing that it's a slow burn, I don't know if I'll go out of my way to watch it again unless I'm with new people who haven't seen it. But it's definitely a good movie to watch at least once.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, I couldn't have said it more perfectly.
absolutely. I mean, yeah.
Even
Normally I
with
have a comment.
that's exactly what I say. You are me. This is weird. Because I say the same thing. It's like it's one of those movies. I was thinking that. I was like, it's one of those movies that I don't know if I would just pick up and watch all the time, but like, and there's no like certain setting. It's not like a seasonal movie, you know? So
Mhm.
unless if someone hasn't seen it, it's like I want to watch them watch the movie, you know? That's
Yes.
kind of what it is, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm the same way. I'm gonna go 3.4 for mine.
Oh,
I'm gonna go a
okay.
couple digits down. Um, I did think that there was a lot of stuff at the beginning that I don't know we necessarily needed. Slowed it up a bit more than I would have liked. But I think it also kind of like set up the tone of the film as far as like, it's in the 80s. He wanted to show some things to let you know it is that time period, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. So I get it. Um, I thought it could have, the runtime could have been a little less, but that's really the only thing I have with it. I think everything else is pretty straightforward with this movie. It's a simple story. Seems like it's in the 80s. It kind of plays out like a slasher film, which is weird. It just has like that feel, but it's not one,
Almost, yeah.
Um, and so yeah, 3.4 for me.
All right, all right. I like this movie. I remember I saw Cabin Fever 2 first. And then I remember reading about Ty West, like, man, this guy, and he got this came out. But we have to remember that in the 80s, devilish, like devil worshipping cults were huge in the 70s and
Hmm.
80s. Huge. I mean, there's so many of
Definitely.
them. I mean, it was
Just
like
cults in
almost.
general.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
like
Pretty
the
freaky thing.
and they say they give you that based on true events, though they don't like reference anything, but this was based on people were out there doing things like this because they believed that Satan was coming back.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just, it was, I thought, I mean, the movie I thought was perfect length because it was only like an hour and a half, I want to say. Am I right? Maybe an hour
Yeah.
and 45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, you see this young lady who from Keys that has really nothing, right? And she just wants to buy an apartment or rent an apartment, only which
Mhm.
is only $300 a month. I miss rent like that, right? Right?
Oh.
You know, we see her roommates kind of like, just kind of just like, she can't even get in there because
Mhm.
the sock's always on the door, But great movie, great cast. I I enjoyed it. I really liked it. I'm gonna leave it at 3 out of 5
Okay.
because this is a movie that like the first time I saw it was when it came out in 2009, and I didn't see it again. And thank you very much for picking it because it made me watch it again. Man, great cast. Really cool to see like, the creator of Barbie,
Oh
be this
yes.
minor character who gets her face blown off, right?
Yeah.
You're not the babysitter. Wow, that was insane. That was intense. That was probably my favorite scene. Although actually no, when we see her on the
Laying on the
pentagram,
pentagram.
That's flashing.
wow, that was cool.
It's
That was
actually
really
it's actually really scary. It's like
yes,
a scary.
Yeah.
and
It made you feel like unnerved. You know what I mean? It was
yes,
good. It was really well shot. And it's like
and
just black and white almost. Like it isn't. It's in color, but it's like it just feels black.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm about to have like epilepsy here. Like what is going on? It made me feel
yes.
uncomfortable, but it was visually stunning. Like I almost wanted to go back and like stop every time it flashed to try to see if I could like study the scene a little bit more because it was just so quick. But yeah, I really liked that as well. I'm glad you brought that
Great
up.
scene, very
Yeah.
great scene. And I mentioned that my daughter Kylie and I were dancing. I had the volume kind of blasting because the dialogues there's not much, as John
Yeah.
mentioned, and it's very low tone dialogue. And then when
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
music hit, like my whole family came out. What is
Just
going
boom.
on?
Yeah, yeah.
And the music was great. Maybe I should give it a 4, but I'll stick it at 3 just because, as y'all mentioned, I really had no. I mean, though I respect the movie, Ty West is the man. He did great with this, and I'll leave it at 3. Great movie. Thank you for picking it.
Of course.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know where it really belongs in the genre. It's kind of like one of those like I don't know. It's like what clique is it in? Like I know it's like a devilish movie. Is it
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
really paranormal? It's not like I guess you could say it's a cult movie, but like, we don't have many of those. So I don't know where it belongs, which is a weird thing. There's not many of those movies out there where you can be like, okay, I don't know. You're walking down the hallway and you're in you're passing the lockers and you got the jocks, you got the geeks, you got the goths, you got the emo kids, you got the nerds, whatever. Like, where does this movie belong as far as subgenres go in the horror in horror as a whole? I don't know where it
Mm-hmm.
belongs. It's very odd.
I was thinking of something though. I was watching this movie, and this is for either of you. Like, let's say you were in this situation, and we're gonna use today's and like inflation. Let's say this gentleman said, "Hey, I got this job. You just need to watch my sick mother," and then all of a sudden he lays down $4,000 in cash. 4,000, not 400 like the movie. That was 83. That was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
I mean, could you blame her for staying behind? I mean, she's trying to get this apartment. We get the dialogue that she's not from much because her friend Megan's like, well, I can call my dad. So we know that Megan doesn't have to worry about money,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
but Samantha has to worry, and she's just trying to, she's trying to get her own spot.
Yeah.
When people are in a tough spot and that man had that money right there, would y'all have done the same thing?
Yeah, especially if I was there.
I don't know. I
Four
don't
grand.
I don't think I could because then it just raises some flags though, like what is going on with your mother that 4 grand is what you're willing to drop for one night?
Yeah, especially when he says like you remember he's like she's more able-bodied than
Yeah,
I am. Now all of a sudden I might be like, wait, well, what am I doing here then?
exactly.
Yeah, that is a
Out
weird
in the
one.
woods, just
First of all, you wouldn't get me there. Like I wouldn't take that
that part.
call.
Yeah.
But if I'm already there and the money's in front of me, I guess I'd just be like, I probably would. That probably would entice me. But I don't. If I got that call, I'd never be like, no, 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 thank you.
Oh yeah,
I'm not going
yeah,
out anywhere near your house. No.
No, are
yeah.
you
With
kidding me? I'll be like, yo, bring Nana down.
Yeah,
Are we gonna watch Murder She Wrote? We
yeah.
getting pizza,
You bring her. You
and
bring her here,
and
though.
I would have been checking. I would have been like checking the $100 bills in the light. All right, this is good. Let's roll.
I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
Come
At
on,
that
y'all.
point,
Come on, y'all. $4,000 to watch Nana.
I
Oh,
don't know.
you got me.
it's a lot of money to do so. It
It
would
is.
raise
It
some red
is.
flags, but if you needed the money, I mean, are you going to turn that down and then the next day you go back to whatever? You know what I
Remember, she only
mean?
had $83 in her account,
Yeah,
right? I mean, heck, I mean that's a lot of money these days, and that was
I know, right?
1983, right? So,
Yeah, for real, for real. How about we didn't talk about the ending too much? Let's talk about that really quick. I mean, her
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to just end
absolutely.
it.
yeah.
What a quick decision though on her part. Because then she's just obviously buying into everything. Like she just automatically believes it, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
you're looking at that eclipse happening and the moon's almost and he's like moments away, you know? And then she was just like, screw that. Boom. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that was a quick decision. Like good on her.
Unexpected.
Good on her to be like, I'm not gonna be the one to bring bring the Antichrist back.
no, absolutely.
But a quick decision. I feel like you in most movies nowadays and most stories, you that's like a buildup of them not really believing that it's a real thing. You go through that whole thing, and but she was just kind of like, I'm not even taking the chance. Boom, done.
Yeah.
But
I
And then
mean,
hey,
what does
obviously,
she have to lose at that
right,
point? Yeah.
right.
Because I mean, her friend's gone. She has no money.
yeah.
Like she's been through all this in a few hours at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think they made her a believer or did they drive her crazy?
Ooh.
It's tough because she was kind of having these visions, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she was kind of tripping out a little bit. And I don't, I just, again, put us in that situation where like I'm tied. I feel like in my, if it was me, I'd be like, these guys are just psychos.
Hmm.
Like, none of this is really happening. They're just one of these crazy cults that think it's happening, and it's really not. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'd be able to, I wouldn't take myself out. That wouldn't be my first choice, you know? But I don't know. And then obviously
I,
she lives, which is crazy.
yeah. Yeah. But it's not like she was like predisposed to anything before. Like she wasn't have any hallucination hallucinations before she came to the house, and
Right.
for her to go through all that, yeah, it was definitely a split second decision that wasn't expected.
She was like, I ain't gonna be that girl.
Mhm.
I ain't going out like that.
She would have been like, "So do I still get the other $200? You paid the money, you paid half of it up front."
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I mean, then obviously she survives, which is pretty
Oh,
wild.
I like
Like,
that. I like that ending where just kind of like and it fades away and she just see her in a hospital bed. Very cool ending just because,
yeah, it
uh
was interesting. The news like it cuts to the news anchor, and he's saying that it was like the quickest eclipse that
mm,
they've ever recorded. I didn't really get that part. I didn't know what they were talking. Like, why was it quick? Did that have something to do with what was
with the
going on?
ritual.
Right, right. Did it like speed it up? You know what I mean, or
maybe she
whatever?
ended it, maybe. I
Could have
don't know.
been.
Probably,
I
yeah.
didn't really get that part, so I might have to kind of dive in and do some research. If you anybody watching, if you know why, leave it in the comments. But
Let us know.
yeah, but it was interesting that she survived. I don't know if I mean it looks like from that scene she got a pretty good chunk of her head there. I mean, I know some people do survive that, but it's pretty rare. I wonder if that
Mm.
also had something to do with her carrying the
Oh,
child, you know, where it's like, no,
yes.
you ain't going out that easy. Like, so I don't know. That was kind of interesting too. Because I was like, didn't she just blow her own brains out? Like, it's
Yeah.
pretty hard to mess up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it happened, and I'm thinking maybe there was something to do with that ritual that
Hmm.
it was so far along, the baby was already in there, whatever. Like,
Yeah, she already drank the blood.
yeah,
Yep.
now there was some supernatural things going on, you know?
Hmm.
I don't know why I did that
Hmm.
little dance, a little supernatural.
I was enjoying it. Don't worry.
It was a vibe.
It was a vibe, man.
You look
But
like you
yeah,
had your Sony Walkman on, like old Samantha did. I miss the Sony Walkmans, man. Them
yeah,
things,
sick.
oh, you could just go to hell and back, and that Sony Walkman, the batteries, them two
Wow,
AA
what a
batteries would still be
line. What a
kicking.
line. Right on.
Yes,
What a
yeah, right. You
line.
like that, right? I'm full of them.
Just right on brand with the movie.
Yeah,
Crazy.
right.
Go to hell and back. They should have see Sony should have advertised.
They should have.
Um, But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just felt like we should have talked about the ending a little bit there because that made me a little curious, you know. And they also knew that she was pregnant, which was interesting. I'm sure that had to do with the ritual, like where she was probably more far along. I mean, because say it was 2 weeks,
Huh.
like hey, it was 2 weeks. Say it was she was in the hospital for 2 weeks, you wouldn't really be able to tell she was pregnant yet. You know what I mean? But there are other movies where it's like it's already happening and it happens fast. You know what I mean? So maybe they just knew. I don't know.
Interesting, because when we watched the movie, I think what Alex and I picked up on, we were like, oh, I think at one point she was talking with Miss Ullman, and she was asking her if she had any boyfriends or something like that, and she was like, no, and we're like, okay, so they kind of sussed out that she was probably a virgin, and that's why she
Ooh,
was chosen.
ooh, ooh, could
Oh,
have been.
oh, that's a good
Hmm.
point. Very good
Yep.
point.
Yep.
That was the scariest part to me when she had her wig off. I was, oh my gosh.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
Put the wig
yes.
back on.
And is that why the hair was in the shower or in the sink?
Oh yeah, in the bathtub,
Was
right?
she cutting out a wig because she didn't want to look so fucking creepy?
Yeah, maybe.
Because they didn't
Oh,
really explain that either. There's like you saw this hair in the sink or tub or wherever it was, and I was kind of like, that's odd. Maybe it'll come up later, and then it never like
addressed
resurfaced.
it.
But then
Yeah.
she took the wig off. I was like, maybe she was like quickly putting together a wig. I don't know.
Maybe just to get to look
Hmm.
like someone, she
Yeah. Well,
that
because when she
just
took it off, she was pretty haggard looking, dude.
yeah,
Like,
exactly, right? Absolutely.
you don't want to give off that vibe. Then I'd be out there. I'm leaving the 4,000. You show up with the hair like that, I'm gone, dude. Sorry.
That's
Like, you
4,000,
just,
John. That's
I
4,000.
don't
I don't
care.
know.
I can't do it. I'm out of there,
I'd
man.
be
I'm
like,
just telling Megan to leave.
Yeah.
We're calling ass.
Yeah.
would being pregnant with Satan be the worst? I mean, I got next month's rent,
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, you'd have to be like, I actually need a little bit more here because I have to take care of this baby now.
Yeah,
So now I
United
gotta.
Yeah.
Healthcare is not going to cover this, So we covering insurance? I don't know. That was good. It was a good movie though. I
Yeah, it was
great pick. Great pick.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. It was definitely a
Absolutely.
great movie, like just shot in one area too. I feel that that was another big thing that I really liked about it because like, I guess, kind of like the autopsy of Jane Doe, where it's just shot in one like little
Oof,
scene.
that's a
I
great
think,
movie.
yeah, this gave off that type of vibe where it just shot in one house. You're exploring it with them and going through each and every room, whether or not the character sees it or not. But that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, those are they make you feel like I don't know when you're that with like the walls are closing in when it's shot in one
Almost
area.
claustrophobic. Yep.
Yeah, it's just like things get tighter and tighter as the tension grows, you know?
Hmm.
And you're like,
Hmm.
oh, you can't even let anything out. Like usually if they run out of the house or they go in town or it's the next day, you
Mm.
kind of get this tension release. And in these types of movies, you don't get that. It's all just that, you know, that one night, you know?
Hmm.
You're like, oh, this could actually happen all in 2, 3 hours, you know?
That's true. Yeah.
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 So pretty crazy. But yeah, good movie. Glad we talked about it. What do we got next month here? We got the
Oh, next
2010s.
no, next month.
Oh, we got July.
July 3rd. What
All
happens in July
right.
3rd?
Yeah, we got Return of the Living Dead, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Exciting.
Steven
Oh,
made an executive decision
I did. I did.
going Return of the Living Dead because of July 3rd.
July
Mm.
3rd is official Return of the Living Dead Day.
So we have to
And
record like before that. I feel like we got to release it on July 3rd, you know what I'm saying?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And hey, somebody who's in this episode on this episode's never seen it before.
Mm-mm.
Really?
Yeah.
Nope.
Wow.
I'm
You are in for
excited.
it. You are in
Oh,
for a
it's so
treat.
good. It's so
Oh,
good.
so good.
Completely
It,
different from the movie we just watched, but
Oh,
oh
yeah.
yeah. And you know what's crazy that I remember watching Return of the Living Dead, and it wasn't it. It seemed like it became a cult classic in like in the early 2000s,
yeah.
and it took a while for that movie like to become what it is today. It's
Hmm.
huge today.
Yeah, it was kind of out there when it came out, you know. It wasn't like I think it was because it wasn't as serious as like Night of the Living Dead or a lot of the other zombie Dawn of the Dead, you know what I mean, which are very serious movies
Yeah,
that deal with like a lot of metaphors and a lot of symbolism, you know, like Dawn of the Dead is all about consumerism and stuff like that. That's why they're in the mall. And Night of the Living Dead has a lot to do with some racial issues, has a lot to do with some other things like that. So I mean, this one was just kind of like a straight up zombie monster movie, with like a bunch of punks and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a fun twist on the other zombies. So I think that's probably why it didn't hit as hard. But I mean, people love this movie now. I
Oh,
mean,
this one's about
oh,
partying.
dude,
Oh,
and
I
the
cannot wait.
and the effects are great. Like everything
Oh,
about that movie's awesome. But we're getting ahead of
oh,
ourselves. We're
yeah,
getting
yeah.
ahead of
You're getting
ourselves.
me all excited.
You're
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 getting me all
building up
excited.
building it up. I like that.
Oh, oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I can't wait to do that. We might have to have you back on for that one because if you haven't seen it,
Ooh.
I mean, I'd love to hear your take on that one, man. Holy crap. But either way, we'll hear it in the group. But
Oh, yes.
yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's the only
Please.
way to promote us. We don't have any ad revenue. We don't have anything like that. No sponsors. Just go subscribe to Crooked Crypt on YouTube. Go follow us on Instagram as well. And yeah, we'll be back with another episode next month.
Yeah, and hey, big thank you to Ruby for joining us today.
Yeah,
Awesome.
for
Great
sure.
pick, especially your first time seeing it. So it's always awesome when you get like that first time
For sure.
review. What a big difference. So,
Yeah.
and then John, like always, thank you, my man. We appreciate you.
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
of course. Thank you so much.